국내 언론에서 전하지 않는 뉴스, 지금 이 순간 폭스뉴스를 통해 확인하실 수 있습니다.
Democrats are sprinting for cover as the Eric Swalwell sexual assault scandal gets worse. He's now facing criminal investigations in both Los Angeles and New York City. This after 5 accusers came forward with shocking allegations of sexual misconduct, including one woman's horrific account of being drugged and raped. Swalwell has denied those allegations. One way Democrats are dealing with the fallout is by trying to change the subject. AOC hopping on her bike to blame Trump.
The President of the United States is implicated in the Epstein files. He is convicted in court on 34 counts of fraud, felony fraud. When that guy can do it and become President of the United States, then what happens is that you get all these members that think I can abuse people and still keep my job too.
And Swalwell's pal, Jimmy Kimmel, is pretty silent about the allegations, not referencing the scandal on his show following the breaking news. And this after Eric Swalwell launched his California bid on Kimmel's show just months ago.
When we were pulled off the air, you and your colleagues supported us, and I appreciate that enormously. There you are, all wearing the hats. That felt good to see, I will tell you.
I came here tonight, Jimmy, to tell you and your audience that I'm running to be the next governor of California.
So, Greg, everybody here at the table, but all of America has been waiting to hear your thoughts on this development.
I'm not going to lie, this is Christmas. We've been following Swalwell forever. It's groundbreaking. Prosecutors say this is the first time they've used DNA from farts. You guys don't remember that?
All
right.
I do.
So I got to tell you, from a human standpoint, it was obvious how creepy Swalwell was because he wore his desperation like a skin suit. It was so obvious that he craved status and sex, but he had no skill in attaining it. So he chose the next effective path, which is become an obedient male leftist, which affords you the freedom to take advantage of women because, you know, you're on your side. Women who are feminists know what this guy is. He's the guy that says he believes you, and then he tries to pull the moves on you after he gets you drunk. It's the Harvey Weinstein method. The progressive pig pass is what I call it. If Swalwell was a dwarf, he'd be called rapey.
Oh, God.
She brings up Trump, and Trump, no one's been more clinically examined by the media than Trump. Believe me, if they had anything on Epstein, they would have let it loose a long time ago. As for whatever his flings are, yeah, he said, "I'm no saint." Remember when he said that? Quite a shocker when you're a billionaire straight male living with celebrity status in Manhattan that you screw around. Sometimes you're only as good as your options, but he's not rapey. That's rapey. My theory, the men on the right have to be better and are better than men on the left because, we don't use one identity to cloak the other one that's underneath. Does Jesse and I pretend to be anything else than what we are? No, you are. People, we know.
I am what I am.
You are what you are. Have you ever seen either of us rattle off a phony speech of fake compassion the way Newsom or Kimmel or Tim Waltz or Swalwell ever? We have never done that.
Well, sometimes Fox makes me apologize. But I didn't mean it.
You meant it.
I meant it.
But and by the way, there are times when conservatives often fail and fall into scandal, but it is known as hypocritical, not as deceptive, and not as some kind of protection racket where everybody knew about it, but decided to throw you to the wolves because your utility was outlived by your embarrassment. You had to get rid. If he just stayed in his own little box, I'm going to be congressman, they would have totally embraced the fact that he's rapey, which is kind of sad in itself. But now he lost everything.
Kaylee, what about the possible criminal potential of this? I guess they have to do the investigations, and I understand from Carrie Urban, who was on earlier, that there's a lot of evidentiary things that have to happen. But the way she's describing this, it does seem to me that would be the next logical step.
Yeah, it seems like that's being looked into, and there's no doubt about it that it should be. It's always innocent until proven guilty, but you do have the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department who's saying the alleged rape of Lana Drews, which she put out her claim yesterday, took place in July of 2018, as reported. That's her account. And then when you look at documents like the FEC and campaign expenditures, and you see $361 in campaign cash, by the way, that he spent to go to the Montrose Hotel, all of a sudden you have funding matching the account of this woman, and she's not the first woman with an allegation. There's another one. No doubt they'll be looking at the similarity of the allegations and look at corroborating details, perhaps contemporaneous notes that she sent to friends, which she says she has, and so on and so forth. But the thing I am so appalled by is the media, because when that young woman was making her claim yesterday, you looked over at MSNBC, not covering. You looked over at CNN, not covering. You know, we yesterday on Outnumbered, we talked about Tony Gonzalez, who's a Republican. We talked about Eric Swalwell. And it's a shame to me that the networks that were all so big on Me Too could not air the claim of this young woman that was egregious, truly.
And Jessica, we haven't heard your thoughts yet on Swalwell.
It seems like I'm the only left-leaning woman who didn't know that this is who Eric Swalwell was. And I was pretty stunned, actually, by how pervasive the reputation was. I do not believe that it was well known that it went that far to get to an allegation of rape, because Nancy Pelosi endorsed him for governor of California, and Nancy Pelosi is very well connected and would never have done something like that if she had known. But the allegations are terrible. Swalwell's attorney is out with a statement about what happened at the Montrose Hotel, saying that regret isn't necessarily rape, and that acknowledging that there was a consensual encounter that this woman feels differently about now. I think that you are not hearing maybe as much as you would like to about this, though I certainly have seen a ton of coverage about it because it affects a race as well. I mean, Eric Swalwell will disappear from public life, but the race for governor goes on, and the deck is getting completely reshuffled, and everyone is scrambling to figure out how to get, you got to get Tom Steyer on and Matt Mahan, the mayor of San Jose, et cetera. But I think to some degree, Democrats are just done with him. I think that there is a feeling of disgust about this and betrayal about this, questioning why he would also, run for higher office with this expectation that you are just, no one is ever going to talk about what your character is. And it does. I'd appreciate that you did talk about Tony Gonzalez yesterday, but Tony Gonzalez's inappropriate relationship with his aide, who ended up, she killed herself. She lit herself on fire. And it's worthwhile listening to the interview that her husband gave about it. Tony Gonzalez was just going to keep sitting in his seat. It took an internal revolution within the party to even get Mike Johnson to say to him, you shouldn't be running for re-election. That was a big deal. They were going to let him run again. And now he did end up resigning because it was a 1-for-1. And if Corey Mills, who's being investigated, is going to go, then you're going to make sure that the Democrat, who's also being investigated from Florida, is going to go as well. So Mike Johnson has taken no position out of any sense of morality or what is right for someone who's such a pious man. He just cares about the numbers and the votes. And that's why Tony Gonzalez had to leave the House, because Eric Swalwell went out, and so they weren't going to lose anything for it.
Yeah, Jessica's right. This is all about Mike Johnson. That's the whole plot.
Right.
It's about Swalwell's Johnson.
It's about Swalwell's Johnson.
And not Tony Gonzalez's Johnson.
Stop with Tony Gonzalez. Listen,
Why?
he should have been out when Fang Fang hit, Jessica.
Yeah.
The Chinese caught him in a honey
You didn't know
trap.
about that?
I did. I sit on this show. I know everything about Fang Fang and trans and everything else that you talk about.
So there he should have been booted. The FBI caught him, and they were going to blackmail him. They told Nancy. Nancy sat on it. K-Mac came in, found out about it, tried to kick him out. Nancy fought for him to stay on House Intel because he was her little pet. She could control him. She put him on all the committees and made him a big fat star. So he did favors for her and raised money and was in all the green rooms, probably hitting on all the chicks. Meanwhile, the guy's a kamikaze attack drone. He just kaboom, blew up. And Nancy's probably got her fingers on it because there's no way Nance didn't know. I'm not saying she knew about the rape, but she knows everything, Jessica. It's her job to know. She's a lot of things. She's not ignorant. When you have that job, you have to know members' affairs, financials, their kids, their addictions, their wives. You know everything. It's like babysitting 200 people. And sometimes you got to blackmail them. And we've seen guys get whacked. You've seen FBI raids on people's houses. Like, what the hell did he do? We've seen ethics investigations. We've seen all of a sudden 6 women do all the TV shows over 36 hours, and the guy's gone in 3 days. I wonder how that happened, Jessica. You think Nancy had anything to do with that? Nancy did the same thing to Joe. The minute she knew he was a liability, he got whacked. Now, most members can't handle the heat because they're weird. And all of a sudden, they're drunk with power or just drunk, and they're away from home, and they're at these bars or at fundraising dinners late at night with lobbyists that are looking sexy and staff in their 20s, and they can't control themselves. And they're out of control. And Swalwell abused his position, and he got too big for his britches, and then it was bye-bye.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
The Joe Biden point was a good one. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.